Hello everyone, this is Will from Dead Creek Radio. If you turned in on Friday February the 13th, 2015, you witnessed what is probably one of the craziest, most strangest nights on our network. That's Paranormal King Radio Network history. All night long in the chat room we had reports of activity. Now, I was prompted after seeing a shadow dart behind me here in the dungeon to start an EVP session that lasted 5 minutes and 5 seconds. In that short amount of time, we captured 25 different sounds, blips, and recordings that was taken. So to start it off, I want to do our first recording, which was a direct response to my question, which was, "What is your name?" So I'm going to go ahead and load the audio, and I want you guys to listen to it and tell me what you think.
What's your name?
Now there was a second response to that question, and I looped it, and I want you to tell me what you think it says. I don't want to read anything into it, but listen to it. It's been looped 3 times, and I want your response.
I
think it's also only fair to mention that each and every one of these audio clips I poured over for almost 2.5 hours on Sunday, which would have been the 15th. Now, I did have to amplify each sound, but that's all of the editing that I did to these sounds. Some I slowed down the speed, but that's all. This particular one, all I did was amplify, and maybe you can see what it says. If you do, and if you can, I wish that you would get in touch with me. I do have the originals, and so I'd be more than happy to share with anyone. The next clip you're going to hear would have been the third response to what your name is. Now this one again, I amplified and looped it 3 times. So I really can't make out what it's saying. However, there was something on the audio tape. Again, if you can make out what it's saying, or if you would like to hear the original, please let me know. So I'm going to go ahead and load that now. Okay, so the next EVP we have is a response to a question that I had, and that question was, "Why are you trying to get my attention?" This one was taken right after the question was, "What's your name?" And I'm going to go ahead and load this one. And again, the only modification was amplification on this one. Thank you.
Why are you trying to get my attention?
The next EVP was a response to, "Why are you trying to get my attention?" I looped it and I amplified it, and on this one I believe I slowed it down because all it sounded was like a beep. And I want you to hear it, and I want you to let me know what you think. I'm going to go load that now. The next EVP we have is a direct response to my question, "Did you die in this room?" I'm going to load it right now. And again, the only modification was amplification, so that way you could hear the sound.
Did you die in this room?
Okay, folks, that last part of it I looped twice, To me, it sounds like not in your room or not in this room. If you want the original, I have that and I'll be more than happy to share. The next EVP we have is a question of mine, are you from another place and time? And we have a direct response to that. I'm going to loop the response 3 times so that way you can maybe get a better understanding of what it tried to say.
Are you from another place and time?
If you notice, each time I give about maybe 15 seconds in between my questions. I think that's very important because as an energy or as a spirit creates energy, they rebuild the energy to actually answer and respond. Okay, this next sound that we're going to hear is a direct response that I had to something I heard in my microphone but picked up on my voice recorder. Now, my voice recorder was sitting in a chair in front of me. It was not connected to my computer, nor was it near my headset. Would have been impossible for it to hear anything that was coming from my earphones at that time frame. I'm going to go ahead and load that, and you're going to hear my response that I heard something coming through the device. Here we go.
How many people? Oh, did you hear that?
So the next EVP I have is going to be a direct response to me asking, did you make a noise?
Did you make a noise?
Okay, once again, that last one I looped 3 times so that way you could hear it better. Okay, my next EVP that we have, which we're already on EVP number 10, believe it or not, and in this recording it's 7 minutes and 20 seconds in, is a direct response to me asking a question to Haunted and to the people in the audience. Did they hear anything? And again, all night long we heard blips and recordings and just little weird noises that were coming in over the radio. Now, I have not heard or listened to the show yet. I wanted to put this out there before we did the replay of the show, so that way you guys can kind of get a better idea of what we were dealing with. I'm going to go ahead and play that, and again, I will loop the sound at the end.
Didn't hear anything?
This is really weird because most of these sounds are just noises, like maybe energy levels or something like that. So I'm not really sure what to make of these. However, they are interesting that everybody was hearing things on the audio, both here in the office or the dungeon as I call it. Haunted Salem was hearing things, Kevin and Jennifer was hearing things, and other guests that were listening to the show were hearing things as well. The next audio you're going to hear is a combination of 3 things. You're going to hear a breath, you're going to hear a ding from Melissa's phone because she was in the office at the time, and then you're going to hear a response, and then you're going to hear me say, what was that? That was my response to a sound that I heard over my headset. Again, me responding to a sound. So those are the 3 things that you're going to hear. And I'm going to go ahead and play that right now. And I'll go ahead and I'll loop it a few times so that way you guys can get a good listen to it.
Like that. Like that. Like that. Like that.
So I just want to say, remember that we all heard things. So a lot of this is validation that I was hearing things in my headphones that were actually being picked up at the same time frame on my voice recorder. Kevin and Jennifer were hearing things. Haunted Salem were hearing things, and other people in the audience were hearing things. This next one is going to blow your mind. I believe that it was building up enough energy, and what you heard was the, I guess, energy of this entity trying to build up, because now what we have is some really cool things. You're actually going to hear a voice, and it sounds very feminine and very sensual. I'm going to go ahead and load that now.
Very nice.
So if you thought that one was crazy, this one is crazy too. And I just want to mention that I can confirm that it's not, one, it wasn't Haunted Salem, two, there was nobody else in the room at the time frame, because Melissa at that point had gotten up and said, okay, I'm going to leave because there was some interference. So after she left, because we were doing an EVP session, you hear this next EVP, which is now number 13, going to come through. There's three different things. So to me it says really, ponce, and then get up. So I want you to take a listen to it. I will loop it a few times so you tell me what you think it says. Alright, so up until this time frame we've had some really crazy EVPs. Up until this time frame we've had just a bunch of, noises, blips and stuff right now. And now we're going to be going on number 14. Now is when things are going to really start getting hairy. So I asked this entity, okay, so if you can make that noise in my headset, make that noise in my recorder device. In between me saying headset and make that noise, you hear and I'm going to loop it a few times so that way you can hear it, which again is a direct validation that Kevin heard somebody underneath my voice, another male. And when you hear it, you can see that that is the case. I will loop it 3 times. You guys tell me what you think.
So if you can make that noise, in my headset, make that noise here inside my recorder device. So if you can make that noise, in my headset, make that noise here inside my recorder device. So if you can make that noise, in my headset, make that noise here inside my recorder device. So if you can make that noise, in my headset, make that noise here inside my recorder device.
So as we saw, that was kind of crazy. The next one is 2. It's a direct response to me trying to ask whatever it was to move something in this office. Now I won't loop all of it, but I will loop the response afterwards.
Move something in this office. 3, 2, 1.
I think it's also only fair just to mention that the only modification that was done on that last EVP you just heard was amplification. Okay, so the EVP sessions were done in 2 sections. The first was when I was in here by myself. We took a quick break. I asked Melissa to come in here so that way she could moderate and also she could read the chat. And so that way she could ask some questions. We're on EVP number 17. So what you're going to hear is Melissa ask a question, how are you feeling? And then you're going to get a direct response. And I will loop the response a few times so that way you can see what it says.
How are you feeling?
Okay, so that was crazy enough. I think it said figure out, or maybe figure it out. On the response that you heard that I looped 4 times altogether, I did have to modify by amplification and modify by speed. No other modification was done. In other words, I cleaned it up. Okay, So on to our next EVP. So my next EVP is EVP that responded to me saying something. Now, I'm not really sure what it said, so I'll loop it a few times, the entire audio, so that way you can hear it. I'm going to go ahead and load it now.
Did anyone else hear that? There was like a real quick. Did anyone else hear that? There was like a real quick. Did anyone else hear that? There was like a real quick. Did anyone else hear that? There was like a real quick.
Alright folks, this next one is a direct response to my question, are you Anne Boleyn or Lizzie Borden? I hope you're sitting down.
Are you Anne Boleyn or Lizzie Borden?
And this next one you hear is 2 blips and a second response to are you Anne Boleyn or Lizzie Borden. And I will loop it just like I did the last one, so that way you can get a better response or a better understanding of what it's saying. Alright, so this next recording we have is a response to Melissa asking a question.
Are you Mr. Borden?
What is your name?
Oh wow, that is so creepy. Are you Mr. Borden?
What is your name?
Oh wow, that is so creepy. Are you Mr. Borden?
What is your name?
Oh wow, that is so creepy.
So this next one is just some random noises, and then you hear talk about being connected, folks. Then you hear me go, mm-hmm. Then you hear me say, I heard something too, and then after that, a hiss. I don't think there's no need to repeat this one. Also, again, the only modification was amplification.
Talk about being connected, folks. Wow. I heard something too.
This next recording was a response to a question that was asked by Kevin and Jennifer, who was in the chat. Let me also say that Kevin and Jennifer were listening to our show, but they do their own show, Paraversal Universe. So Kevin and Jennifer, this was your a question and then a response just afterwards.
That's by Kevin, Jenny, and Kevin. That's by Kevin, Jenny, and Kevin. That's by Kevin, Jenny, and Kevin.
This next piece was caught just after that response to Jennifer and Kevin's question. Alright, so this next response is a little weird. I ask, if you can see me, what color is my shirt? Now there's a reason why I put this in here, folks, because the last one, I do believe, is going to blow your mind. But I'll explain a little bit more in just a few moments.
If you can see me, what color is my shirt?
I think all of that energy and all of that we picked up was in order for whatever was in here to be able to give us this final piece of evidence. And here it goes. You know, everybody, it was a pleasure doing the show, but more importantly, it was a pleasure putting together this clip. And it's amazing that only 5 minutes of audio produced almost 21-minute video. You decide. Thank you and good night.